The garage door was open. That's when I knew Helen's car was gone. 20 years of my life vanished overnight. My son sold it for an Italy trip with his wife. But one phone call the next morning changed everything. The man on the line said he had Helen's charger. Said there was something my wife wanted me to know, something she hid before she died. My name is Raymond Garrett and I'm 58 years old. This is how my dead wife saved my family and taught my son and his wife a lesson they will never forget. The garage door was open. That's what I noticed first, standing in my kitchen with coffee going cold in my hands. I looked at it through the window above the sink. Just looked. The door rolled up, the space inside dark, even with morning light coming in. Helen never left it open. 25 years of marriage, and she never once left that door open overnight. But Helen was gone. 10 months now. I set the coffee down, walked to the back door, opened it. Spring air hit me. Warm for April. The kind of morning Helen would have been out there already, bent over that car with a rag in her hand, helping me with the weekly maintenance. I crossed the yard. Grass needed mowing. I kept meaning to hire someone. The concrete was cold under my feet. I'd come outside in work boots, old habit from my Navy days. The oil stain in the center of the garage floor was dark and familiar. 20 years of the same car sitting in the same spot leaves a mark, but the spot was empty now. Just empty. I stood there looking at nothing. The workbench along the back wall was exactly how I left it. My tools hung on the pegboard, each one outlined in black marker so I'd know where it went. My red Snap-on toolbox sat closed on the bench. My restoration journal lay open next to it, pages filled with my small, careful handwriting. The car was gone. My chest went tight. I put my hand on the door frame and breathed. In through the nose, out through the mouth. 30 years as a machinist mate in the Navy, and I still use the same techniques I taught younger sailors when the pressure got too much. Breathe, think, act. But I couldn't think past the empty space. I walked to the workbench and picked up the journal. The last entry was dated 3 weeks before Helen died. My handwriting looked tired, the letters looser than usual. Almost done. 20 years on this beauty. Can't wait to teach Tyler to drive her properly. Our retirement road trip starts next summer. 446-pack purring like a kitten. I closed the journal, put it back on the bench exactly where it had been. The garage still smelled like her. Motor oil and old leather and that orange hand soap Helen used. I could see her here, could almost hear the music she played on that old radio. Classic rock. She'd sing along when she thought I wasn't listening. A car engine sounded outside on Schoenhair Road. I turned. Tyler's black Honda pulled into my driveway. Leased, not bought. He'd told me that at Christmas, like I should be impressed. My son got out of the driver's side. 29 years old, and he still wouldn't look me in the eye when he knew he'd done something wrong. Even from across the yard, I could see it, the way his shoulders hunched, the way he shoved his hands in his pockets. The passenger door opened. Sophia stepped out. She was perfect like always. Hair smooth and dark, designer sunglasses, clothes that probably cost more than my monthly pension. She stood beside the car and looked at me standing in the garage. Even with the sunglasses, I could feel her watching. Tyler walked toward me, stopped at the edge of the driveway. Dad, I waited. I need to talk to you about something. Where's the car, Tyler? His jaw tightened. That's what I need to talk about. Where is it? I sold it. The words landed but didn't make sense at first, like he'd spoken in another language, and my brain needed time to translate. You what? I sold it yesterday. He looked at the empty garage, then at the ground. I needed the money. Sophia has been planning this Italy trip for months. It's important for her career connections. I couldn't let her down. The tightness in my chest spread. My hands were shaking, so I crossed my arms. That was your mother's car. It was just sitting there. His voice went defensive. Harder. Mom's gone, Dad. You don't even drive it. It was her car, past tense. Tyler finally looked at me. His eyes were red around the edges. Tired. I got a good price for it, too. $1,800. That's fair for a car that old. $1,800 for a car Helen and I had spent every weekend working on. For a car I'd restored piece by piece over 20 years. For a numbers-matching 1969 Dodge Charger RT that Helen had promised would stay in the family. I wanted to yell, wanted to grab my son and shake him until he understood what he'd done. But 30 years in the Navy taught me to keep my voice steady, even when everything inside was breaking. When did you take it? Yesterday afternoon. You were at the Veterans Administration. I still had my key. The one from when he lived here, before he moved out, before he met her. I never asked for it back. And Helen always left the garage unlocked. Said she wanted to be able to get in there quick if she thought of something. You should have asked me. Would you have said yes? No, I wouldn't have. Sophia walked up then. She moved like she owned the driveway, the yard, the whole street. Stood next to Tyler and put her hand on his arm. Her nails were red and perfect. Raymond, we're not discussing this. It's done. The car is sold. We leave for Italy tomorrow. I looked at her, really looked. She'd been married to my son for 3 years, and I still didn't know her. Didn't know where she grew up or what her parents did or anything real about her life before Tyler. She smiled a lot, but it never reached her eyes. This is between me and my son. I'm his wife. What's between you and him is between all of us. Her voice was pleasant, reasonable, like she was explaining something simple to someone slow. Tyler needed that money. The car was sitting unused. It made sense to sell it. It was his mother's. His mother is dead. She said it flat, matter of fact. And Tyler is trying to build a life. We both are. Surely you understand that. I didn't trust myself to speak. Just looked at Tyler. He wouldn't meet my eyes again. Sophia's hand stayed on his arm. Possessive. We'll send you photos from Italy, Sophia said. She smiled. You'd love it there. The architecture, the museums. Very romantic. The casual cruelty of that comment, like she didn't know what she was saying. Or maybe she did. Tyler shifted his weight. We should go. Still need to pack. Yes, Sophia tugged his arm gently. We have an early flight. They walked back to the Honda. Tyler glanced back once, just once. Saw me standing there in Helen's garage with my arms crossed and my work boots on. Then he got in the car. Sophia's window rolled down. Take care of yourself, Raymond. We'll see you when we get back. The Honda backed out of the driveway and drove away. I watched until it turned the corner at the end of Schoenherr Road. Then I was alone. I went back into the garage, stood where the oil stain marked the Charger's spot. The silence was different without the car, emptier. The morning sun came through the open door and lit up dust in the air. I picked up my restoration journal again, open to that last entry. Read my words about teaching Tyler to drive, about our retirement road trip, about 20 years of work finally finished. Helen's coffee mug was still on the shelf, stained from years of use, handle worn smooth. I'd washed it after she died, but couldn't bring myself to put it away. Everything was here except the car. My tools, my workbench, my radio, the smell of her in every corner, and the empty space where the Charger should have been. I closed the journal and held it against my chest. The sun was warmer now. Somewhere down the street, a dog barked. A lawnmower started up. Normal sounds, normal morning. 10 months of being a widower, and I thought I'd cried all the tears there were. But standing in that garage holding my restoration journal, looking at the empty space our son had left, I felt them coming again. I locked the garage door, turned off the light, walked back to the house with the journal still in my hands. The empty space where the Charger should be looked like a wound. That night, I couldn't sleep. Kept thinking about the car, about Helen, about Tyler's face when he told me what he'd done, the way Sophia looked at me, like I was already dead, like I was just an obstacle in her way. I got up around 3 a.m., made coffee, sat at the kitchen table with Helen's pictures spread out in front of me. Pictures of us working on the car together, her hands dirty with grease, smiling at the camera while I held up a rebuilt carburetor. Pictures from car shows where we'd won trophies, the Charger gleaming under show lights, Helen standing proud beside it. She'd loved that car as much as I did, maybe more. It wasn't just the restoration work, though she was good with her hands, better than me sometimes. It was what the car represented, our partnership, our shared dream of retirement, of traveling together, of having something beautiful that we'd built together. Now it was gone, sold for a vacation to impress a woman who looked at me like I was already in the ground. The phone rang at 7 in the morning. I'd been awake since 4, still sitting at the kitchen table with my restoration journal open in front of me. Had been reading the same page over and over, the one where I documented replacing the carburetor, my handwriting so careful, my measurements exact. The phone kept ringing. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Hello? Mr. Garrett? A man's voice, rough around the edges like he'd been crying. This is Tom Sterling from Sterling Classic Auto. I have your wife's car. I sat up straighter. What? The Charger? Your son brought it in Wednesday. I need you to come to the dealership, please. Right now, if you can. There's something Helen wanted you to know. My brain tried to make sense of the words. I don't understand. Helen was my friend. A good friend. His voice cracked. I was at her funeral. I should have spoken to you then, but I couldn't. I'm sorry. Please, Mr. Garrett, can you come? I remembered him now. Vaguely, a man standing in the back at the funeral home, gray hair, dark suit. He'd left before I could greet anyone. Where are you? He gave me the address. Industrial area on the east side of Warren. I wrote it down on the back of an envelope. I'll be there in 30 minutes. I got dressed, jeans and a work shirt, found my keys, drove across town with my hands tight on the steering wheel. The morning traffic was light. I passed the Ford plant where I'd worked for 25 years. The parking lot was already full. Men and women heading to their shifts, lunchboxes in hand, just like I used to do. The industrial area was all concrete and metal buildings. I found Sterling Classic Auto at the end of a long street. The building was clean, modern. Rows of vintage cars sat in the front lot behind a chain-link fence, all gleaming in the early sun. Mustangs, Camaros, a few Corvettes. Real muscle cars, not the plastic stuff they make now. A man stood outside the main entrance, gray hair, maybe 65, jeans and a button-down shirt. He was watching for me. I parked and got out. He walked toward me. His eyes were red. Mr. Garrett, thank you for coming. You're Tom? Yes. He put out his hand. I shook it. His grip was firm, but his hand was shaking. I'm Tom Sterling. Your wife saved my life 25 years ago. I waited. He looked at the ground, took a breath. I needed a business loan. Had a dream of opening this place. No bank would touch me. Bad credit, no collateral, just a dream and a lot of nerve. He looked up. Helen co-signed for me. Risked her own credit and savings for a stranger. I paid back every penny, but the debt went deeper than money. She never told me. She wouldn't have. That's who Helen was. Tom wiped his eyes. This dealership exists because of her. I've been successful, built a good life, all because your wife believed in me when no one else did. We stood there for a moment. The morning was getting warmer. I could smell coffee from somewhere, maybe the shop next door. Normal business starting up, people going about their lives while mine was falling apart. When your son brought that Charger in Wednesday, I knew it the second I saw it. Tom's voice went rough. Helen talked about that car every time we ran into each other. Car shows, auctions. She'd show me pictures on her phone, tell me about the progress. She was so proud of it. Tyler said he sold it. He did. To me. Tom looked sick. Your son had no idea what he was selling. I asked him if he knew the value. He said $18,500 sounded fair. My stomach dropped. What's it really worth? Tom met my eyes. Around $295,000. It's a documented 1969 Dodge Charger RT, numbers matching 4 and 40 six-pack. Helen restored it to museum quality. I've got the Haggerty appraisal from last year in my office. The number didn't make sense. Couldn't make sense. $295,000, yes sir. Tyler sold it for $18,500, yes. I sat down on the curb. Just sat. Tom sat next to me. We stayed like that for a minute, neither of us talking. A truck rumbled by on the street. Somewhere a radio was playing classic rock. Normal sounds of a normal day, but nothing felt normal anymore. I bought it from him, Tom said finally. Paid him the $18,500 because he was desperate. Said something about an Italy trip with his wife. But Mr. Garrett, that car was never mine to keep. Why are you telling me this? Because Helen made me promise 6 months before she died. Tom stood, held out his hand to help me up. Come inside. There's something you need to see. He led me through the building to the garage. The space was huge. White floors, bright lights overhead, the smell of automotive paint and cleaning solvents. 3 cars sat in a row under covers. Classic cars waiting for restoration or maybe just detailed. Tom stopped at the last one, pulled the cover back. The Charger sat there gleaming, burgundy paint perfect, chrome shining. I walked toward it slowly, put my hand on the hood. The metal was cool and smooth. I could feel Helen in every line. Every curve she'd helped shape, every piece she'd helped restore. I opened the driver's door, sat in the leather seat. It smelled like the garage at home. The steering wheel was worn where her hands had gripped it, where my hands had gripped it for 20 years. Tom leaned against the doorframe. 6 months before she died, Helen asked me to help her install something. A hidden compartment. I looked up. Why? She said if anything ever happened to her, I needed to make sure you knew about it. Made me swear. Tom gestured to the dashboard behind the radio. I didn't look inside. She said, "This is for Raymond and only Raymond." My heart was pounding. Tom showed me how to release the panel. Press here, pull there. The radio face came away, and behind it was a space, dark and hidden, just big enough for a few items. Tom stepped back, walked out of the garage, left me alone. I reached into the compartment. My hand touched paper. I pulled out a manila folder, thick and heavy. Under it was a sealed envelope, my name on the front in Helen's handwriting, and at the bottom a small wooden box with a key inside. I opened the envelope first. Helen's handwriting filled the page. Dated 4 months before she died. Raymond, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm sorry I didn't tell you while I was alive. You would have wanted to handle it together, and I know that, but I needed to protect you from this until I had proof. I've been investigating Sophia for 6 months. She's not who she says she is. Her real name is Linda Torres. She's done this before, twice that I've found so far. In this folder is everything I've gathered. Photos, documents, contact information for her previous victims. Their stories are the same. She targets men with aging fathers and family assets. She's going to target our house, Raymond. That's her pattern. She'll convince Tyler that you're declining, that you need care, that the house should be sold. Then she'll disappear with the money. I confronted her once, carefully, watching her reaction. She's very good at what she does. Tyler doesn't see it. He won't believe me without ironclad proof, and I don't have it yet. The key in this box is for our safe deposit box at First National. Box 447. Inside are stock certificates I bought in 1994 as a favor to my Ford colleague. Check the current value. You're taken care of financially. Tom knows to call you if anything happens to this car. He's a good man. Trust him. Protect yourself. Protect our son. He's a victim in this too. I love you. I'm still protecting you. Helen. I read it twice, my hands shaking. Helen knew. She knew about Sophia. Spent 6 months investigating her. Died before she could finish. I opened the manila folder. Inside were photos. Sophia at a wedding with a different man. Older, gray hair. Another photo. Different wedding. Different man. Marriage certificates. Copies. Linda Torres married Stanley Wright, Phoenix, Arizona. June 2019. Linda Torres married George Murphy, Tampa, Florida. March 2021. Newspaper clippings. Local man reports elderly father's life savings stolen by daughter-in-law. Another one. Family business sold in suspected fraud case. Pages of Helen's handwriting. Notes about Sophia's behavior. Questions she'd asked about our house, about my health, about our assets. Dates and times. March 15th. Sophia asked about house deed location during dinner. March 28th. Tyler mentioned memory care costs, said Sophia brought it up. April 2nd. Found brochure for Sunset Hills Senior Living in Sophia's purse. April 10th. Sophia took photos of every room, said for decorating ideas. At the back, contact information. Phone numbers. Stanley Wright, Phoenix. George Murphy, Tampa. Helen's final note at the bottom. Need more concrete proof before telling Tyler. He won't believe me without it. She's too skilled. If you're reading this and I'm gone, please finish what I started. Protect our son. I closed the folder, held it against my chest. 10 months of me thinking I knew everything about our life together. 10 months of missing her and grieving her. She'd carried this alone. Tears came then, not quiet ones. Deep sobs that shook my whole body. I sat in Helen's car holding her investigation file and cried for everything she tried to do. For the burden she carried alone. For dying before she could protect Tyler from this woman. Tom came back after a few minutes, stood in the doorway, didn't say anything, just waited. Good man. Knew when to give someone space. I wiped my face, got out of the car, looked at him. She was protecting me even after she died. Tom nodded. That's who Helen was. I need to call these men, Stanley and George. I need to know what happened to them. You can use my office. Take all the time you need. I looked at the charger, at the car Helen spent 20 years building, at the secret compartment she'd installed with Tom, at the investigation she'd left for me to finish. All those evenings she said she was organizing files for taxes. All those phone calls she said were about her book club. She was building a case against the woman who was planning to destroy our family. She's not going to get away with this. No, Tom said. She's not. We walked to his office. Small space, clean, automotive magazines stacked on the desk. Pictures of classic cars on the walls, a coffee pot that smelled like it had been brewing since 6 a.m. Tom handed me the phone. Take your time. I'll be in the shop if you need anything. I pulled out Helen's folder, found the first number. Stanley Wright, Phoenix. My hands were shaking as I dialed. The phone rang 3 times. A man's voice answered, tired, like he'd been expecting this call for years. Hello, Mr. Wright. My name is Raymond Garrett. I'm calling because my son is married to a woman named Linda Torres. Long silence on the other end, then a heavy sigh. I wondered when this call would come. I gripped the edge of Tom's desk. Can you tell me what happened? How much time do you have? Because this is going to take a while. Stanley was 58 years old. He told his story slowly, each word careful, like he'd practiced what to say if someone ever asked. He met Linda in the spring of 2019, community center where his father volunteered. Linda was helping organize events. Charming, attentive, started talking to him after one of the meetings. She seemed genuinely interested in him. His wife had died 3 years before. He was lonely, trying to figure out how to take care of his aging father and manage his own grief. They dated for 4 months. She was patient, understanding, made him feel seen again, never pushed, never demanded anything. Just listened when he talked about missing his wife, about worrying over his father's health. She had this way of making him feel like he was the most important person in the room. Married, 6 months later. Small ceremony, just family. His father had concerns from the start. Said something felt off about Linda. The way she asked too many questions about finances, about the house, about his father's pension. Stanley dismissed it. Thought his dad was being overprotective, maybe a little jealous of not being the center of attention anymore. After the wedding, Linda started with small comments. Your father seems to be slowing down. Have you noticed? He forgot my name yesterday when I brought him groceries. Is that normal? I'm worried about his driving. What if something happens? Stanley started noticing things he hadn't before. Normal aging suddenly looked like decline. His father would repeat a story he'd told the week before, and Stanley would think about Linda's words. His father would take a moment to remember where he put his keys, and Stanley would wonder if it was something more serious. Linda would find articles about dementia, leave them where Stanley would see them. Articles about elderly falls, injury risks, the importance of professional care. She was subtle about it, never pushing directly, just planting seeds. I read this article about memory care facilities, she'd say over dinner. Did you know they have activities specifically designed for people with cognitive decline? It sounds wonderful, really. Much better than being alone all day. Over 8 months, she built a case that his father wasn't safe. Then she found Sunrise Manor, a memory care facility across town. The best in the state, she said. He deserves the best care we can give him. $18,000 a month. Only way to afford it was to sell his father's house. Stanley convinced his father it was for his safety. You'll have people around all the time, Dad. Activities, meals prepared for you. No more worrying about maintaining the house. His father didn't want to go. Kept saying he was fine, that he'd lived in that house for 42 years, raised Stanley there after his mother died. But Stanley had become convinced it was necessary. Linda had been so thorough, so caring in how she presented the information. They sold the house for $280,000. Money went into a joint account with Linda. Stanley's name was on it too, but Linda handled all the financial arrangements, said she was good with money, had experience with elder care costs. His father moved to Sunrise Manor 8 months after Linda and Stanley's wedding. The old man cried when they drove away from the house. Stanley told himself it was for the best. 2 weeks later, Linda disappeared. Just gone, cleaned out the account, every penny. Left a note saying she'd realized she wasn't ready for marriage, that she needed to find herself. Changed her phone number, closed her social media accounts, like she'd never existed. Stanley tried to track her, filed police reports, hired a private investigator. But the money was in a joint account, technically legal. She hadn't committed fraud in the eyes of the law, just a marriage that didn't work out. His father died 6 months later. Stanley's voice cracked, telling me this part. He kept asking when he could go home. I kept telling him soon, that we were looking for a nice apartment for him, something manageable. But there was no home anymore and no money to get him one. The facility was fine, Mr. Garrett. Professional, clean, but it wasn't home. Dad was fine before we moved him. A little forgetful, sure, but fine. He didn't need that place. He needed his kitchen where he made coffee every morning for 40 years. He needed his workshop in the basement. He needed his neighbors who'd check on him. I closed my eyes. I'm sorry. Dad was sharp until the end, you know. About 3 months before he died, he looked at me during one of my visits and said, "She played you, didn't she?" Just like that. He knew. He'd known all along. Stanley paused. Whatever Linda is telling your son about you, don't believe it. Document everything. She'll start small, little comments about you forgetting things, being tired, then she'll escalate. She's patient. She'll spend months building the case that you need help. How long was she married to you? 14 months total. Long enough to gain my trust, isolate me from my father's concerns, and convince me to make the biggest mistake of my life. Thank you for telling me. Stop her, Stanley said. His voice was firm now, angry. Please don't let her do to another family what she did to mine. My father died heartbroken because I chose a woman I'd known for 10 months over a man who'd raised me for 58 years. I hung up, sat there staring at the phone. Tom brought me water. I drank it, dialed the second number. George Murphy answered immediately. George Murphy, I introduced myself. Same opening, he sighed. Linda Torres. Yeah, I've been waiting for someone to call. George was 61. His story was different, but the pattern was the same. Met Linda at his father's funeral in early 2021. She was there supporting a friend, she said. Found George afterward in the parking lot. Expressed condolences. She understood grief. Said she'd lost someone too. They talked for hours that day. She helped him through the darkest time. Started dating a month later. His friends said it was too soon, that he was vulnerable. He didn't care. Linda made the grief bearable. She had this way of knowing exactly what to say, when to listen, when to distract him with plans for the future. Married 8 months later. His father had owned a small auto repair shop for 40 years, Murphy's Automotive. George inherited it but didn't want to run it. Too many memories of working alongside his dad, learning the trade, planning to take over someday. Now his father was gone, and the shop felt like a monument to loss. Linda suggested selling. It's too much stress. You're grieving. Sell it. We'll take the money, travel, heal together, start fresh somewhere new. Made sense to George at the time. The shop was profitable but demanded 12-hour days. He was exhausted from grief, from trying to keep his father's customers happy while learning the business side he'd never handled. Sold the shop for $195,000. Money went into a joint account. 3 days after the check cleared, Linda was gone. Completely vanished. George tracked her through credit card records to Costa Rica. By the time he got there, the money was gone, laundered through multiple accounts, impossible to recover. She'd planned the escape route before she even married him. She targets men with aging fathers and family assets, George said. That's her specialty. She researches them first, knows everything before she even introduces herself. Funeral notices, obituaries, estate sales. She finds men who are vulnerable and have something worth taking. He paused. Does your son have access to your house, your finances? Not yet, but she's been setting the stage. Then you have time. Stop her before she gets him to sign anything. And Mr. Garrett? Document everything. Every conversation. Every suggestion she makes about your health or your living situation. You'll need proof. After I hung up, Tom and I sat in silence. The coffee had gone cold. Outside, I could hear the sounds of the shop. Air tools, engines running, normal work continuing while my world was falling apart. Helen suspected all of this, Tom said finally. She came to me 8 months before she died. Asked me to help her. Said she had a buddy, a private investigator, Peter Lawson. They were working together. Why didn't Helen tell me? She said she needed ironclad proof. Said Tyler was so in love, he'd never believe it otherwise. Tom pulled out a business card from his desk drawer. Peter's been waiting. Call him. I took the card. Peter Lawson. Private Investigations. A local number. First, I need to go to the bank. First National was across town. I drove there with Helen's investigation file on the passenger seat. The small wooden box with the key in my jacket pocket. My hands were steadier now. I had purpose, direction. Helen had given me a road map. The bank was busy. Friday afternoon, people cashing checks, making deposits, normal business. I asked for access to the safe deposit boxes. The manager, a woman in her 50s, led me to the vault. Box 447. The key fit perfectly. Inside was a single envelope. I opened it. Stock certificates in a protective sleeve. Documentation. A letter from Helen. Raymond, I bought this stock as a favor to my Ford colleague in 1994. His son was starting a tech company and needed investors. I gave him $5,000, never expecting anything. The colleague retired the next year, and I honestly forgot about these certificates. Found them last month while organizing files. Looked up the company and nearly fell over. This is worth more than we ever saved. This is for you, for our future, for security. If you're reading this from the safe deposit box, something happened to me. Sell these when you're ready, live well, travel, stay independent. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. You're taken care of. Helen. I took the certificates to the bank manager. Can you tell me what these are worth? She researched on her computer. Her eyes widened. Mr. Garrett, TechCore Solutions went public last year. These shares are currently valued at approximately $380,000. I sat down. Just sat. The manager brought me water. Are you all right? My wife bought these. She pulled up records. Purchased May 1994 for $5,000. The company remained private for 30 years, then went public in 2024. Stock price has been climbing steadily. $380,000. Helen left me financial security I never knew existed. I had resources now, power, options. I could fight Sophia on equal footing. I could protect Tyler without worrying about my own future. I thought about Helen's planning, the stock certificates in the bank for safety, the investigation hidden in the car where Sophia would never look. She'd thought of everything, prepared for every possibility, even dying before she could finish what she started. I drove home with the certificates and a cashier's check for $50,000, enough to hire the best help, enough to ensure Sophia couldn't use money as leverage. Helen had given me the tools to finish her work. Saturday morning, I met Peter Lawson at a coffee shop near the Ford plant. Tom had called him, set it up. Peter was 55, graying, methodical-looking, former Detroit PD detective. He had folders with him, sat across from me in the booth by the window. Helen was my friend. When I heard about her death, I wondered if Sophia would make her move. You kept investigating? Helen made me promise not to contact you directly unless Sophia acted against you. She didn't want to alarm you with unproven suspicions. Peter opened his folder. But I kept watching, kept gathering evidence. Helen was right about everything. He showed me printouts, digital footprint from the last 3 months. Sophia active on caregiver forums under a fake name. Posts asking how to convince resistant elderly people they need help. Questions about assisted living facilities, memory care costs, how to handle family members who won't listen to reason. Property browsing history, Costa Rica real estate, Swiss bank account tutorials, identity change services. She wasn't just planning to leave Tyler, she was planning to disappear completely. Financial investigation, credit cards in Tyler's name. 3 cards, $34,000 total debt. Charges for designer clothes, expensive restaurants, luxury hotel reservations in Italy. Spa treatments, jewelry, things Tyler could never afford on his parts coordinator salary. Tyler's salary is $48,000 a year, Peter said. Not enough to support this lifestyle. She's living on borrowed money. Money he doesn't even know he owes yet. Peter laid out a projected timeline based on previous victims. Phase 1, Italy trip. Build the dream. Make Tyler feel inadequate about what he can provide. Phase 2, next 2 or 3 months, she'll start concerns about you. Suggest you're declining. Phase 3, 4 to 6 months. Build the case for assisted living. Phase 4, 6 to 8 months, convince Tyler to sell your house. My house is paid off. Worth $295,000. Exactly. Her total take would be over $350,000 counting the car sale and credit card cash advances. Peter closed the folder. She's in setup phase now. When they get back from Italy, she'll start the campaign in earnest. Can the police stop her? Not yet. She hasn't committed a crime in this state. The previous scams were in Arizona and Florida. Until she actually takes money or commits fraud here, police can't act. So we wait for her to hurt us? We build the case now, document everything. When she makes her move, we're ready. Peter leaned forward. And Tyler has to see the truth himself. If you just tell him, she'll convince him you're paranoid, maybe even having mental health issues. Classic reversal tactic. He has to discover it. I understood. Tyler wouldn't believe me without proof he found himself. Sophia was too skilled at manipulation. That evening, I sat at my kitchen table, made a list of everything I'd noticed from Sophia over the past year. Things that seemed innocent at the time but made sense now. 4 months ago, Tyler asking where I keep the house deed. Said Sophia mentioned something about organizing important documents. 3 months ago, Sophia taking photos of every room during a visit. Said she was getting decorating ideas for their apartment. 2 months ago, Tyler asking if I'd forgotten about lunch plans we never made. When I said no, he seemed confused, said Sophia reminded him about it. 6 weeks ago, Sophia commenting how tired I seemed, suggesting I should see a doctor, maybe get some blood work done. 3 weeks ago, a brochure for Sunset Hills Senior Living falling from Sophia's purse when she was looking for her keys. She laughed it off, said a friend asked her to pick one up. 2 weeks ago, Tyler mentioning that Sophia thought the house was too big for me, too much maintenance for someone my age. The pattern was there, had been building for months. Sophia was creating a narrative that I was declining, preparing Tyler to believe his father needed help, just like she'd done with Stanley and George. I thought about the stock certificates, about why Helen kept them in the bank, but hid the investigation file in the car. The answer was obvious. The bank was fireproof, secure, the safest place for something valuable. But the car was Helen's private space. Sophia never went in the garage, never showed interest in my tools or my restoration work. She stayed in the house, away from the grease and noise. The car was where Helen could hide something she didn't want Sophia to find. She thought of everything. I called Peter that night. I want to hire you officially. I want surveillance on Sophia when they get back. I want to know every move she makes. That's expensive, Mr. Garrett. Professional surveillance runs about $150 an hour. I can afford it. I thought about Helen's stock certificates. How much would you need to do this right, to do it properly? Monitor her communications, track her movements, document everything for court? Probably $15,000 for a month of intensive work. Done. I'll wire the money Monday morning. Mr. Garrett, are you sure about this? That's a lot of money. It's Helen's money. She left it for me to protect our family. This is exactly what she would have wanted. Peter was quiet for a moment. Okay. We'll get her. Helen deserves justice, and Tyler deserves to know the truth. Sunday night, I barely slept. Tomorrow they'd be back from Italy. Tomorrow the real battle would begin. I spent the evening going through Helen's notes again. Her handwriting was so careful, so methodical. She'd documented everything. Dates, times, exact quotes. She'd been building a legal case, not just collecting suspicions. One entry caught my eye. April 15th. Sophia mentioned Raymond's forgetfulness during family dinner. Tyler seemed concerned. Note: Raymond forgot nothing that evening. Checked my own notes. All conversations recalled accurately. She'd been protecting me even then, watching Sophia plant seeds of doubt about my mental state and countering them with documentation. My wife, the engineer, building a fortress of facts around our family. Another entry. April 20th. Found Sophia in Raymond's office looking through desk. Said she was looking for a pen. Desk drawer was open, financial files visible. Made note of which papers were slightly displaced. Helen had been watching, documenting every intrusion, every lie, every manipulation. She'd died before she could present her case, but she'd left me everything I needed to finish what she started. I called the Ford plant Monday morning, talked to my old supervisor. Hey Jimmy, it's Ray Garrett. I need to ask you about Helen's stock purchase back in '94. You remember that tech startup your nephew was running? Sure do. Helen was the only one willing to invest. Kid made good, didn't he? Heard the company went public last year. Yeah, they did. Thanks, Jimmy. One more piece of Helen's story confirmed. She'd always been generous, always willing to help, even with strangers like Tom Sterling and Jimmy's nephew. But she'd saved her most important work for last, protecting our family from a predator who targeted us with surgical precision. Tuesday couldn't come fast enough. They came back from Italy on a Tuesday, both tanned. Tyler looked tired despite the vacation. Stress lines around his eyes that hadn't been there before. I could see it in his posture, the way he carried himself. Debt weighs on a man differently than grief. I'd invited them for dinner, played the part perfectly, made pot roast, Helen's recipe, Tyler's childhood favorite. The smell filled the house, brought back memories of better times when our family was whole. They arrived at 6. Sophia in clothes I'd never seen before. Silk blouse, designer jeans, expensive bag, everything new, everything perfect. I hugged Tyler at the door. He held on a second longer than usual, like he was afraid to let go. Sophia's hug was quick, performative. Raymond, you look well. Have you been taking care of yourself? The concern in her voice sounded genuine. If I didn't know what I knew, I might have been touched by it. We sat at the kitchen table where I'd raised Tyler. Sophia controlled the conversation from the first minute. Italy was beautiful. The hotel in Venice was stunning. They had lunch near the Colosseum, dinner at restaurants I couldn't pronounce. She painted a picture of the life they deserved, the life they should have. It was wonderful, Sophia said, cutting her meat with precise movements, but it made me realize how much we're missing out on. Tyler works so hard and we have so little to show for it. She looked at me when she said it. The meaning clear. Tyler's job wasn't enough. Their life wasn't enough. Something needed to change. Tyler jumped in. Dad, you should think about traveling, seeing things. You've got the money now with your pension and everything. I kept my face neutral, past the potatoes. Maybe someday. Sophia leaned forward. Raymond, this house is really too big for one person. Have you thought about downsizing, maybe something more manageable? There it was. The first direct move. Right on schedule according to Peter's timeline. I'm managing fine. This is my home, of course. Sophia's smile was pleasant, reasonable. We just care about your safety. The stairs, the yard work, all that maintenance. It's a lot for someone your age. Tyler nodded along. We worry about you here alone, Dad. What if something happened? I noticed. He said we, not I. Sophia's words coming out of his mouth. I appreciate the concern, but I'm fine. Sophia let it drop, but I saw the calculation in her eyes. Seeds planted. She'd push harder next time. After dinner, we moved to the living room. Coffee and the apple pie I'd made. Sophia excused herself. Bathroom down the hall. She was gone 10 minutes. I waited 5, then excused myself. Found her upstairs near Helen's old office. The bathroom door was open and empty behind her. She was looking through Helen's desk drawers. She jumped when she saw me. Oh, I got turned around. This house has so many rooms. The bathroom is downstairs where it's always been. She laughed, touched my arm. Of course. Silly me. Too much wine with dinner. Her hand was cold. I led her back downstairs, said nothing more. But I made a mental note. Peter would want to know about this. They left an hour later. Sophia all smiles. Take care of yourself, Raymond. We'll visit again soon. Tyler hugged me. Goodbye. Love you, Dad. I watched them drive away, then went straight to my notebook, wrote down every detail while it was fresh, every word, every gesture, every look. Building the case Helen had started. Wednesday morning, I called Tyler. I need to talk to you about something. Can you come by? Just you. What's it about? Your mother, something I found in her things. Silence on the other end. Sophia and I don't keep secrets, Dad. This is between you and me. Please, Tyler. Long pause. Okay. This afternoon. But I have to tell Sophia where I'm going. That's fine. He arrived at 3, alone like he'd promised. But he looked nervous getting out of the car. Dark circles under his eyes. The weight of debt and deception taking its toll. I had coffee ready. Helen's investigation file on the kitchen table covered with a dish towel. Tyler saw the outline and his shoulders went tight. Dad, if this is about the car again... Sit down, please. He sat, arms crossed, defensive before I'd even started. I took a breath, used my Navy voice. Calm, authoritative, factual. Before I show you anything, I need you to listen. Really listen. Can you do that? This feels like an ambush. It's protection. I pulled back the dish towel, showed him Helen's letter first, put it in his hands. Tyler read it, color draining from his face. Mom was investigating Sophia for 6 months before she died. His reaction was instant. Anger, denial. Mom never liked her. She was paranoid about everything. This is ridiculous. I stayed calm. Look at the evidence. I spread the photos on the table. Sophia at 2 different weddings with 2 different men. The marriage certificates. Linda Torres married Stanley Wright. Linda Torres married George Murphy. Tyler stared at them. This could be anyone. Someone with the same name. Call them. Ask them about their wives. I handed him the paper. Phone numbers written in Helen's careful handwriting. Stanley Wright, Phoenix. George Murphy, Tampa. You want me to call random strangers? They're not random. They were married to your wife before you. Tyler stood, started pacing. This is insane. Sophia wouldn't. She loves me. Then prove me wrong. Call them. Prove your mother wrong. He grabbed the paper, crumpled it in his fist. I'm not doing this. He headed for the door. Tyler, please. He turned. Why are you doing this? Can't you just let me be happy? My voice broke. Because your mother died trying to protect you, and I'm not going to let her last months be for nothing. Tyler slammed the door behind him. I watched him drive away. Didn't know if he'd call those numbers or go straight to Sophia. Either way, the choice was his now. The waiting was the worst part. I sat at the kitchen table. Couldn't eat, couldn't focus on anything. Peter called at 8 to check in. How did it go? He was angry. I don't know what he'll do. Give him time. The truth has to sink in. But time felt like it was running out. At midnight, the phone rang. Tyler's name on the screen. Tyler? His voice was wrecked, raw. I called them, Dad. I called them both. He was crying. What did they say? Everything. Stanley's father, George's father's shop. It's the same. Exactly the same story. My heart broke for him. I'm so sorry. I went home after I left your house. I was so angry. His voice shook. But I kept thinking about Mom, about those marriage certificates, so I decided to test her. Just ask simple questions. What happened? I asked where she grew up, what her maiden name was. Tell me about your family. He took a shaky breath. Her answers were different. Not just a little different. Completely different from things she told me before. Different town, different college, different everything. What did you do? I pushed. Asked about the credit cards Peter found, the ones in my name I didn't know about. Tyler's voice went flat. Her whole face changed, Dad, like a mask came off. She said they were business investments. I wouldn't understand. So I asked what business, asked her to show me. She said she didn't have to prove anything to me, that I should trust my wife. I kept pushing, said I wanted to see the statements. They're in my name. His voice broke. She packed a bag right then. No more pretending. Said I was weak, said I was just like all of them. She walked out, just got in her car and left. I've been calling her phone. She won't answer. Stay there. I'm calling Peter Lawson. I hung up and dialed Peter immediately. He answered on the first ring. I'm already tracking her through the credit cards. She checked into the airport Marriott an hour ago. She's leaving. Made multiple cash withdrawals over the last 2 hours. Got about $34,000 total from the credit lines. And she just booked a flight. He paused. Switzerland. 6 a.m. departure. One way. My stomach dropped. She's running. Yes, but I found something else. Linda Torres is a stolen identity. Real Linda Torres died in a car accident in 2018. This woman's real name is Carmen Walsh. She's wanted for fraud in 2 other states under different names. Can the police stop her? I've been in contact with detectives in Arizona and Florida. They'll issue a warrant. If we move now, we can get her at the airport before she boards. What do you need? Tyler's cooperation. His statement about the credit card fraud. Can he do that? Yes. I'll make sure of it. At 3 a.m, we met at my house. Peter, Tyler, and me. Tyler looked destroyed. Red eyes. Hadn't slept. He sat at the kitchen table while Peter laid out the situation. Sophia is leaving on a 6 a.m. flight. Police are ready to arrest her on outstanding warrants, but we need your statement about the forged credit cards. This means it gets public, Peter said. You'll have to testify. Are you ready for that? Tyler looked at me. What would Mom do? Your mother spent her last months building a case against her. She died before she could finish it. She'd want you to stop her. Not for revenge, so she doesn't do this to someone else. Tyler was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. Call the police. Let's go to the airport. We got in Peter's car, drove through empty streets. 4 a.m, and the city was dark except for street lights. Tyler sat in the back seat, staring at nothing. I reached back, took his hand. He held on tight. The airport was just waking up when we arrived. Coffee shops opening, fluorescent lights harsh. Overhead, business travelers pulling luggage, looking tired. We stood behind a column near security. Peter positioned us where we could see, but stay back. Police were already there. 2 detectives in plain clothes near the checkpoint. Tyler hadn't spoken since we got in the car, just stared ahead. I stayed close to him. 5:30. The security line started filling. Then Sophia appeared. 2 large suitcases, designer coat, sunglasses despite the early hour. Hair perfect. She looked like someone going on vacation. Calm, confident, phone in one hand, boarding pass in the other. She got in the security line, pulled her luggage forward. The detectives moved. Ma'am, we need to speak with you. Sophia turned, saw them. For just a second, her face changed. Then she smiled. Is there a problem, officers? The detective showed his badge. We have a warrant for your arrest. Carmen Walsh. Sophia's smile froze. I don't know who that is. My name is Sophia Garrett. Ma'am, please step aside. Sophia looked around, calculating. Saw the other detective blocking the exit. She ran, dropped her luggage, kicked off her heels, ran in stockings across the polished floor. Airport security caught her before she made it 20 feet. Tackled her at the departure board. She fought, kicking, screaming, "Get off me! I haven't done anything!" People stopped, watched, phones out. Police handcuffed her right there on the floor, read her rights while she thrashed. A detective opened her abandoned luggage, right there at the security checkpoint. Inside the first suitcase were clothes, toiletries, normal travel items. Inside the second were stacks of cash, rubber banded. $34,000, the detective would tell us later. A passport with her photo, but different name. Carmen Brennan. Documents, bank account numbers, external hard drive. The detective held up the passport. Want to explain this? Sophia spat at him. They lifted her to her feet. She was still fighting when she saw us. Saw Tyler standing 30 feet away, me beside him. She went completely still. Then her face transformed. Pure rage. You. She lunged toward him. Police held her back. You did this. Tyler flinched. You're pathetic. Sophia screamed. Weak, stupid, just like the others. You really thought someone like me would want you? You're nothing. Nothing. I stepped in front of Tyler. Not much, just enough. Sophia turned on me. And you, interfering old man, this was mine, my score. 3 years I spent on this. You should have minded your own business and died already. Her voice echoed through the terminal. People staring, recording. I didn't react, just stood there. Kept my hand on Tyler's arm. Police dragged Sophia away. She was still screaming threats, her voice fading as they took her through security doors. Then she was gone. Tyler stood frozen, shaking. Let's go home, I said. 2 weeks later, we were at the police station giving formal statements. Detective Ramirez explained what they'd found. Sophia's real name was Carmen Walsh. Born in Ohio, started running cons at 20. Small scale at first, graduated to identity theft and elder fraud. Linda Torres was a stolen identity. Real Linda Torres died in a car accident. Carmen stole her identity and used it for the last 6 years. 5 previous victims they'd found so far. 2 before Stanley. The pattern going back 8 years. Charges filed in 3 states, Arizona, Florida, and here. Identity theft, fraud, theft by deception, forgery. The prosecutor expected a plea deal. 12 to 15 years federal prison. Stanley Wright and George Murphy's cases were reopened with new evidence. They might recover some funds through civil suits. Tyler's credit card debt was forgiven. Fraud claims approved. 1 month later, Tyler showed up at my door with 2 suitcases. Can I stay here? Just for a while? Of course. He took his old room, same room from high school. Posters still on the walls, football trophies on the shelf. Divorce was granted. Annulment, actually. Marriage never legally valid. Sophia married under a stolen identity. Tyler started therapy, twice a week, Tuesday and Thursday evenings. Some days he was okay. Made breakfast, helped around the house, smiled occasionally. Some days he barely spoke, stayed in his room, came out only for meals. I didn't push. Just kept the space safe, made his favorite foods, left lights on, kept coffee ready. 30 years in the Navy taught me about healing. It's not linear, it's messy, it takes time. 2 months after the airport, the prosecutor called. Carmen took the plea deal. 12 years federal prison. I told Tyler over dinner. He just nodded, didn't say anything. That Saturday I found him in the garage. He was sitting on Helen's old work stool holding the restoration journal, tears running down his face. I stood in the doorway, waited. I found this on the workbench. His voice was thick. Started reading. He opened to a page from years ago. Helen's handwriting filled it. Taught Tyler to change the oil today. He's 12, old enough to learn. His hands are still small but careful. He listened to every word, so proud of him. Tyler's hands shook, holding the page. Another entry from later. Tyler came by to help with the engine rebuild. We worked all afternoon. Barely talked. Didn't need to. These are the days I'll remember. I barely remember this, Tyler said. Working on the car with her. I was so young. I sat on the workbench beside him. She loved those days. Talked about them all the time. I sold her car. Tyler's voice broke. The car she spent 20 years on. For $18,500. For a trip to impress a woman who was planning to destroy our family. You didn't know. I should have known. Mom tried to warn me. Those last few months she kept asking about Sophia, about our plans, about money. I thought she was being controlling. He wiped his eyes. Last conversation I had with her, we argued about Sophia. I told her to back off, to let me live my life. She died a week later. I never apologized. My throat was tight. She knew you loved her. Tyler shook his head. How could she? I chose Sophia over her. Over you. Over everything she taught me. I pulled out the letter Helen had left in the car. The one about needing proof before telling Tyler. I'd been carrying it with me, waiting for the right moment. Read this. Tyler took it. Read Helen's words about not wanting to break his heart without ironclad proof. About loving him. About Tyler being a victim too. She understood, I said. She knew Sophia was good at what she did. She didn't blame you. Tyler broke down completely. Deep sobs that shook his whole body. I held him. All those years being a father, holding my son through every pain, this one cut the deepest. We sat in the garage for a long time, surrounded by Helen's tools, her workbench, her radio, the smell of motor oil and old leather. Eventually Tyler's tears stopped. He wiped his face with his sleeve. I wish the car was still here. His voice was raw. I'd learn everything about it the way Mom wanted me to. I didn't say anything, just squeezed his shoulder. He closed the journal carefully, put it back on the workbench exactly where Helen had left it. That Sunday morning, we heard an engine rumble outside. Deep, powerful, familiar. I looked out the kitchen window. The Charger sat in my driveway. Burgundy paint gleaming in the sun. Tom Sterling behind the wheel. My chest went tight. Tyler was upstairs. I heard his door open. His footsteps on the stairs. He'd heard it too. We both walked outside, stood on the front porch. Tom got out of the car, smiled when he saw our faces. Bringing her home where she belongs. Tyler stared at the car. Couldn't move, couldn't speak. Tom walked toward us, held out the keys to me. This was never mine, Mr. Garrett. Helen built it for you. Want Tyler to learn it. That's what matters. Tyler's voice came out rough. I sold it. I threw it away. Tom looked at him. You were a victim too. Your mother knew that. That's why she built the case to protect you. We opened the garage door together. Tom backed the Charger into its spot, the same spot it had left months ago. The engine shut off. Silence settled. Then the garage smelled like it should again. Motor oil. Old leather. Helen. 3 months later, on a Sunday morning, we started. Tyler brought Helen's restoration journal to the garage. I brought coffee. We opened the hood, stood looking at the engine Helen had rebuilt piece by piece. I don't know where to start, Tyler said. I opened the journal, found the page marked Teaching Tyler. Helen's handwriting clear and careful. Start with the oil, I read. Check it first every time. Before you drive her, know she's ready. So that's my story. My wife saved our family even after she died. My son learned what real love looks like. And we learned that some things are worth fighting for. The Charger sits in the garage where it belongs. Tyler and I work on her every weekend. He's getting good with tools, learning the way Helen wanted him to. We take drives sometimes, windows down, engine purring, father and son, carrying on what Helen started. She's still protecting us, still bringing us together. Some battles are worth fighting. Some families are worth saving. Helen knew that. Now we do too.